Good morning, students. Welcome to English class. I am Miss Aishwarya. Students, in today's class, we do the reading and summary of Chapter 3, RANJI'S Wonderful Bat. So, all of you open your book and listen and watch the video carefully. Students, this is the story about one boy who is the very good player of the cricket, but because of his bad luck, he lost the games, lost the runs, and due to this, his coach angry with him. Now, let us continue our story, students. It was Ranji's turn to bat. The score stood at 53 for 4 wickets. The team had to make another 60 runs to win. Students, रंजीस की टर्न होती है क्रिकेट मैच में. क्रिकेट का मैच का स्कोर 53 था फॉर 4 विकेट्स, बट they have to make 60 runs to win. Now it's the turn of Ranji's. Now let us see what happened next. Ranji had made lots of run in some of the minor matches, but in the last 2 inter-school games, his score had been poor. Now, he was determined to make enough runs to take his side to victory. Students, रंजीस ने बहुत सारे रन्स बनाए थे माइनर मैचेस में, बट लास्ट इंटर स्कूल गेम्स उसका स्कोर बहुत ज़्यादा पुअर था. एंड he determined, he think that he had to make more runs to win the game. Ranji prepared to face the bowler. Now, Ranji ने start किया गेम खेलना. The ball came through sharply to strike Ranji's on its pads. How's that? Screamed the bowler, hopping about like a kangaroo. Students, this time also because of his bad luck, the Ranji lost his runs. Now, the umpire slowly raised a finger. Out. It was Ranji's turn to walk back to the shed. Now, Ranji is out from the game. So, he back to the shed. वो गेम से बाहर हो गया. Now, the match was won by the visiting team. मैच जो उसके अगेंस्ट टीम थी उसने विन कर ली, जीत गई. The coach was stern. The coach of Ranji is very strict, so he angry with him and said that you will have to make more runs in the next game. He told Ranji, or you will lose your place in the side. रंजी के कोच ने कहा कि अगर तुमने नेक्स्ट गेम में ज़्यादा रन्स नहीं बनाए, सो यू हैव टू लेफ्ट द गेम. रंजी वॉकड स्लोली होमवर्ड्स, हिज हेड डाउन. He was very upset. When an important game had come along, he had failed to make a big score. He could not bear the thought of not being a part of the school team. Ranji घर जाने लगा and he was very upset because उसका बहुत ही important game होने वाला था और उसने अभी से अपने runs बहुत ज़्यादा पुअर कर लिए थे. And if he didn't gain the more runs, then he will out from the school team. Now, on his way home, he had to pass the clock tower where he often stopped at Mr. Kumar's shop, sports shop, to look at all the things on the shelves. Footballs, cricket balls, badminton rackets. It was a wonderland where Ranji usually liked to linger. Now, Ranji अपने घर की तरफ जाने लगा and in between his home वहाँ पर एक क्लॉक टावर पड़ता है जहाँ पर मिस्टर कुमार की स्पोर्ट्स की शॉप है, जहाँ पर फुटबॉल्स, क्रिकेट बॉल्स, सारे स्पोर्ट्स मटेरियल्स अवेलेबल हैं. एंड रंजी को वहाँ बहुत अच्छा लगता है. just like a wonderland for the Ranji. And it is also the place जहाँ पर stay in one place longer than expected. रंजी ना चाहते हुए भी वहाँ पर रुक जाता है most of the time. But on this day, he didn't feel like looking at them. He was about to cross the road when Mr. Kumar's voice stopped him. But most of the time, Ranji's left at the Mr. Kumar's sports shop. But आज क्या हुआ? He is not feeling good. He is very upset. So he was going to be home and cross the road. But suddenly, what happened? Mr. Kumar's voice stopped him. Mr. Kumar की voice ने उसे रोक दिया. Hello Ranjis. Off in a hurry today? And why are you looking so sad? उन्होंने कहा, हेलो रंजी, आज बहुत जल्दी में हो, आज बहुत सैड लग रहे हो. So Ranji had to stop. He couldn't ignore Mr. Kumar, who had always been kind and helpful. Ranji stopped in the Mr. Kumar's sports shop because he didn't ignore him. उसने कभी उनको इग्नोर नहीं किया because वो बहुत ज़्यादा हेल्पफुल नेचर के थे. Now, Mr. Kumar had been a state level player once. And had scored a century in a match against Tanzania. He thought Ranji would be make a good cricketer. Mr. Kumar is the best state level player and he also scored a century in the match against the Tanzania. And उन्हें लगता था कि Ranji is also a good cricketer. One day Ranji become a good cricketer player. Now, lost the game today? He asked as Ranji stepped into the shop. उन्होंने पूछा, आज गेम में हार गए? जैसे ही रंजी उनके शॉप के अंदर गया. We lost the match, said Ranji. रंजी ने कहा, yes, I lost the match. Never mind, said Mr. Kumar. Where would be without loser? There would not be any game without them. Anyway, how many runs did you make? None. Mr. Kumar is very kind people. So he show his sympathy to the Ranji that it's okay, don't mind about the games. ऐसा कौन सा गेम है जहाँ पर losers नहीं होते? So उन्होंने पूछा, कितने रन्स बनाए तुमने? And Ranji replied, none. Now, Mr. Kumar rested his hand on Ranji's shoulder. All good players have a bad day now and then. Then Mr. Kumar showing a sympathy, showing his kindness, and said कि हर अच्छे प्लेयर के कभी-कभी बुरे दिन आ जाते हैं. कोई बात नहीं, it's okay. But I have not made a good score in my last 3 matches, said Ranji. I will be dropped from the team if I don't do something in the next game. Ranji ने कहा कि लास्ट 3 मैचेस से मैं बिल्कुल भी अच्छे रन्स नहीं बना रहा हूँ. एंड अगर मैं नेक्स्ट गेम में अच्छा नहीं कर पाया so I lost the school team. Now, we can't let that happen, mused Mr. Kumar. Something will have to be done about it. I'm just unlucky, said Ranji. Mr. Kumar ने कहा, हम कर लेंगे कुछ ना कुछ, ऐसा कुछ भी होगा नहीं, हम देख लेंगे गेम को. पर रंजी कहता है that I am unlucky. Now, maybe, but in that case, it's time your luck changed. Now just come with me to the back of the shop and I will see if I can do something about your luck. मिस्टर कुमार ने कहा, हो सकता है उस टाइम तुम्हारा लक अच्छा नहीं हो, बट नेक्स्ट गेम में तुम्हारा लक चेंज भी हो सकता है। एंड वो रणजी को अपने शॉप में ले गए। नाउ puzzled, Ranjis followed Mr. Kumar. He found himself in poorly lit room stacked to the ceiling with all kinds of old sporting goods. Now Ranji is confused कि Mr. Kumar आखिर क्या करने वाले हैं। वो अपने शॉप के बैक वाले रूम में लेके गए रंजी को, जहाँ पर सारे पुराने ओल्ड स्पोर्ट्स के चीज़ें रखी हुई थी। Now, Mr. Kumar began examining a number of old cricket bats. Then he picked up one, said "Ah," and held it out to Ranji. Mr. Kumar ने कहा, मिस्टर कुमार ने बहुत सारे बैट्स को एनालाइज किया, सारे ओल्ड थे, एंड पिक अप वन बैट जो कि ओल्ड ही था। बट नाउ students, this is it, he said. This is the bat that I made a century with. उन्होंने रंजी से कहा कि ये वही बैट है जिससे मैंने सेंचुरी बनाई थी। When I played with against the Tenancia. Of course, it's an old bat, but it has not lost any of its magic, said Mr. Kumar. He held it out to Ranji. Here, take it. I will lend it to you. And Mr. Kumar ने रंजी से कहा, It's an old bat. ये old bat हो सकता है, but the magic inside this bat is not changed, not lost. अभी भी उसके अंदर वो मैजिक है। सेंचुरी बनाने का मैजिक है उस बैट के अंदर। ऐसा मिस्टर कुमार ने रंजी से बोला। Now, Ranji took the bat and gazed at it in awe and delight. Is it really the bat that you made a century with? He asked. Now, Ranji ने वो बैट ले लिया and उसने, as he is really curious to know that क्या यही वो बैट है जिससे आपने सेंचुरी बनाई थी, ऐसा रंजी ने मिस्टर कुमार से पूछा। Now, it is, said Mr. Kumar, and it may get you 100 runs too. उन्होंने कहा, yes, it's that bat, and इस बैट से तुम 100 runs बना सकोगे। Ranji spent a nervous week waiting for Saturday's match. His school team would be playing a strong side from another town. Now, Ranji ने पूरा week नर्वस होके निकाला बिकॉज ही इज़ वेटिंग कि कब सैटरडे आए और मेरा मैच हो। नाउ एट लास्ट सैटरडे अराइव्ड ब्राइट एंड सनी एंड जस्ट राइट फॉर क्रिकेट। नाउ सैटरडे आ गया एंड इट्स अ वेरी गुड डे विच इज़ राइट फॉर द क्रिकेट। नाउ सूरज द टीम कैप्टन won the toss for the school and chose to bat first. सूरज जो कि टीम का कैप्टन था स्कूल का, उसने टॉस किया एंड what he got in the toss? He got bat first. The opening batsman made 30 runs steadily. The visiting fast bowler couldn't do much. जो बैट्समैन थे, जो रणजी के स्कूल टीम के बैट्समैन थे, सूरज जो था टीम कैप्टन, ही स्टार्ट बैटिंग एंड जो विजिटिंग टीम थी अगेंस्ट टीम, वो कुछ ज़्यादा खास नहीं कर पाई बॉलर में। द स्पिन बॉलर्स केम ऑन एंड इमीडिएटली देयर वाज अ चेंज। 2 wickets fell in 1 over and score was 33 for 2. Suraj made a few quick runs, then he too was out. The next batsman was clean bowled, 46 for 4, and it was Ranji's turn to bat. Now, what happened? जो अगेंस्ट टीम थी वो कुछ खास नहीं कर पा रही थी, और तभी वहाँ पर चेंज हुआ। द Ranji's school team win 33 for 2 runs. And this was made by Suraj, his team captain. Now, whose turn? Ranji's turn. He walked slowly to the wicket. He prepared for the first ball. वो प्रिपेयर हो रहा था अपनी बैटिंग के लिए. The bowler took a short run and then the ball was thrilling towards Ranji. Ranji felt a thrill running through his arm as he felt the ball meet the springy willow of the bat. Crack! The ball hit firmly, sped towards the boundary 4 runs. And suddenly, Ranji ने 4 runs बना लिए. Ranji swung the next ball to the onside boundary for another 4 runs. And again Ranji ने 4 runs बनाए. But this was just the beginning. पर ये शुरुआत थी. Now Ranji began to play all the strokes he knew. Now Ranji अपने जो भी रूल्स रेगुलेशंस थे उस अकॉर्डिंग स्टार्ट किया उसने खेलना. जस्ट बिगनिंग में उसने 8 रन्स तो बना ही लिए थे. नाउ द राइवल कैप्टन ट्राइड ऑल हिज bowler but none of them could stand up to Ranji, who sent the fielders scampering all over the field. Now Ranji is really playing very nice. He take all the runs and the against team, the visiting team against team जो थी वो नहीं कर पा रही थी क्योंकि रंजी के पास मैजिकल बैट था जो मिस्टर कुमार ने दिया था. Now at lunch break he had scored 40. When Suraj closed the innings, Ranji was not out for 58. Now the rival team was bowled out for the poor score and Ranji's school won the match. Now Ranji's school team won the match. Now on his way home, Ranji stopped at Mr. Kumar's shop to give him a good news. Now Ranji is going back to home but he stopped. वो रुक गया मिस्टर कुमार को ये गुड न्यूज़ देने के लिए. We won, he said, and I made 58, my highest score so far. It's really a lucky bat. I told you so, said Mr. Kumar, giving Ranji a warm handshake. There will be a bigger scores yet. Now Ranji ने बोला कि हम जीत गए and मैंने 58 runs बनाए. It's really a lucky bat. And Mr. कुमार ने कहा मैंने कहा था It is and तुम इससे भी ज़्यादा स्कोर बना सकोगे. Now Ranji went home in high spirits. Mr. Kumar was right. It was only the beginning of Ranji's success with the bat. In the next game he scored 40. The game that followed was a 2-day match and Ranji made 45 runs. ये बैट सच में बहुत ही ख़ास था, बहुत ही मैजिकल था. एंड उसने सिंस ये 2-day मैच था एंड रंजी ने स्कोर कर लिए 40 and made the 45 runs. Now, in the second innings, when the school team need only 60 runs for victory, Ranji was batting with 25 when the winning runs were hit. Everyone was pleased with him, his coach, his captain Suraj and his teammates. But no one knew about the lucky bat that was the secret between Ranji and Mr. Kumar. Now, Ranji school team will win the game but no one knows कि ये कैसे हो रहा था. ना ही उसके कोच कैप्टन सूरज एंड हिज टीममेट्स. Only this is in between Ranji and Mr. Kumar that it is the magical bat. It is a secret between them. One evening during an informal match, Ranji's friend Bhim slipped while running after the ball and he cut his hand on a sharp stone. Ranji took him to a doctor where the wound was washed and bandaged, and it was getting late. He decided to go straight home. He caught a bus near the clock tower. एक इवनिंग में ये लोग फॉर्मल मैच खेल रहे थे, रंजी और उसके टीममेट्स. बट हिज फ्रेंड भीम स्लिप्ड. ड्यू टू दिस रंजी को हॉस्पिटल जाना पड़ा. एंड सिंस ही वॉज गेटिंग लेट ही डिसाइडेड टू गो होम एंड उसने सडनली ही बस पकड़ी. वेयर फ्रॉम द क्लॉक टावर. नाउ when he reached home, his mother brought him a cup of tea. While he was drinking it, she said, Ranji, where is your bat? जब रंजी की मदर ने उसे कप ऑफ टी दी एंड शी आस्क्ड दैट कि तुम्हारा बैट कहाँ है. Oh, I must have left it on the मैदान when Veem got hurt, said Ranji, starting up. I had better go and get it now, or it will disappear. He ran all the way to the Maidan. The Maidan was deserted, and there was no sign of the bat. Then Ranji remembered that he had it with him on the bus. After saying goodbye to Bhim at the clock tower, he must have left it on the bus. He had never found it now. The bat was lost forever, and on Saturday, Ranji's school would be playing their last and most important match against a visiting team from Delhi. Now, students, what happened? That Ranji गया अपना बैट ढूंढने मैदान में, बट वहाँ उसे नहीं मिला. फिर उसने सोचा कि हो सकता है वो बस में छोड़ दिया हो, सिंस बस उसको मिलने वाली थी नहीं. एंड ही फाइनली सेड दैट उसका बैट घूम चुका है. एंड उसका लास्ट एंड फाइनल मैच था विजिटिंग टीम दिल्ली के साथ ऑन द सैटरडे. नेक्स्ट डे ही वॉज एट मिस्टर कुमार शॉप लुकिंग वेरी सॉरी फॉर हिमसेल्फ. व्हाट्स द मैटर ही आस्क्ड मिस्टर कुमार. नेक्स्ट डे वो मिस्टर कुमार के शॉप पे गया एंड ही इज़ वेरी सॉरी फॉर हिमसेल्फ. उसे बहुत अफसोस हुआ इस बात का. मिस्टर कुमार ने पूछा, व्हाट्स द मैटर, क्या बात है? आई हैव लॉस्ट द बैट, सेड रंजी. योर लकी बैट, द वन आई मेड ऑल दोज रन्स विद. आई लेफ्ट इट ऑन द बस एंड डे आफ्टर टुमारो वी आर प्लेइंग द दिल्ली स्कूल एंड आई विल बी आउट फॉर द डक and we will lose our chance of being the district champions. Now, रंजी ने कहा कि मैंने वो बैट घुमा दिया एंड वो मेरा लकी बैट था जिससे मैंने सारे रन्स बनाए थे एंड मैंने वो बैट बस में छोड़ दिया. एंड डे आफ्टर टुमारो मेरा स्कूल में फाइनल मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट मैच है दैट मेक्स मी अ डिस्ट्रिक्ट चैम्पियंस. Mr. Kumar smiled and said, you can still make all the runs you want, but I don't have any bat anymore, said Ranji. Any bat will do, said Mr. Kumar. What do you mean? I mean it's the batsman and not the bat that matter. Shall I tell you something? That old bat I give you was no different from any other bat I have used. True, I made a lot of runs with it, but made runs with other bats too. What you need was confidence, not a bat. And by believing in the bat, you got your confidence back. Now, Mr. Kumar ने कहा कि तुम अभी भी रन्स बना सकते हो. ये ज़रूरी नहीं है, बैट उसमें कोई मैटर नहीं करता. मैटर इज़ कि तुम्हारे अंदर कितना कॉन्फिडेंस है. किसी भी प्लेयर के अंदर उसका बैट मैटर नहीं करता, मैटर करता है कि वो बैट्समैन कितना ज़्यादा अच्छा है अपने गेम में. Now, what's confidence? Confidence, said Mr. Kumar slowly. Confidence is knowing you are good and I can be good without the bat. Now, Mr. Kumar ने कहा कि confidence रंजी, confidence it means you are good, तुम अच्छे हो. It doesn't matter कि बैट की वजह से तुम गेम्स जीते. Of course, you have always been good. You are good now, remember that. If you remember it, you will make runs. And Mr. कुमार ने कहा तुम अभी भी बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छे हो. और याद रखो, remember it, that you will make runs. On Saturday, Ranji walked to the wicket with a bat borrowed from Bhim. नाउ सैटरडे को रंजी ने जो भीम उसका फ्रेंड बैट लाया था उसने वही बैट से गेम खेला. देयर टीम हैड लॉस्ट फर्स्ट पिक इट्स फर्स्ट विकेट विद ओनली 2 runs on the board. The Delhi school opening bowler was sending down some really fast ones. Ranji faced up to him. दिल्ली टीम रियली बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छी थी. But now it's the time of Ranji's turn. The first ball was very fast, quick on his feet. Ranji stepped back and pulled it hard to the on boundary. The ball soared over his head, over the heads of the fielder, and landed with a crash in the crate full of cold drinks bottle. Now what happened? बॉल बहुत ही ज़्यादा तेज़ी से रंजी की तरफ आई एंड रंजी ने ऐसी बैटिंग की दैट द बॉल जाकर कोल्ड ड्रिंक बॉटल्स, वहाँ पर एक क्रेट था, क्रैश इन द क्रेट फुल ऑफ कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स बॉटल्स. वहाँ पर एक बेंच थी जहाँ पर कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स की बॉटल्स रखी थी एंड द बॉल क्रैश ऑन दैट कोल्ड ड्रिंक बॉटल्स. आ 6, एवरीवन स्टूड अप एंड cheered. सब ने कहा he made a 6 and cheered him. And it was only the beginning of Ranji's wonderful innings. And यही शुरुआत थी रंजी की वंडरफुल इनिंग्स की. The match ended in a draw, but Ranji's 75 was the talk of the school. मैच ड्रॉ हो गया बट रंजी ने विद द नॉर्मल बैट 75 स्कोर किया एंड एवरीवन थिंक दैट हाउ. On his way home, he bought a dozens of laddus for Mr. Kumar. So he showed his happiness अपनी खुशखबरी देने के लिए दैट आई विन द गेम. वो लड्डूस लेके गया, मिस्टर कुमार के लिए स्वीट्स लेके गया. सो स्टूडेंट्स, आई होप यू enjoy this story very much. Thank you.